and welcome to the first edition of Talk to Me. I'm Maynard Eaton, and every week, every Saturday, we'll be talking to various guests about politics, entertainment, news of the day. Our first guest, I'm proud to say, is a friend, Shelley Wynter, a popular talk show host in Atlanta. Shelley, welcome.
Hey, good morning, Maynard.
Shelley, you used to be popular on Black Radio, Black Radio. Now you're with the most popular radio station in the country, WSB. How is that working out for you?
Man, it's I got to tell you, God, you know, the old adage or the old, I don't know if it's a scripture. I'm no theologist or anything, but God takes care of fools and babies. I know I'm not a baby, so he's definitely taking care of this fool. Honestly speaking, I mean, it's a dream come true. We're on the top news and talk station in the entire country. Royal Marshall, Neil Bortz, Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Eric Erickson, Eric Von Hessler. I mean, there's so many greats have come through these studios to be included with all of those people. It really is, for a talk radio person like myself, it really is a dream come true, and I truly am blessed by the Lord.
Shelley, you waited for this opportunity and worked for this opportunity, did you not? As I understand it, you turned down a radio opportunity a few weeks ago to wait for this.
About a couple months to wait for this opportunity, yeah. You know, it paid off, and you know, it's still a lot of work to be done. We're on the weekends, obviously, 9 to midnight on Saturdays and 9 to 11 on Sundays. It's a weekend show. But this previous week, we were just on 8 to 10, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So there's a lot going on. You know, I'm just doing my part. You know, I mean, I'm enjoying the opportunity and just doing my part and see where God takes us next. But yes, it's been a lot of work. A lot of naysayers, a lot of people, you know, screaming, stabbing you in the back, taking you out, saying you don't know what you're talking about. But, you know, I stuck it out and got picked up by the other station, was there a year and a half, and then this came up. After they sold our signal, this came up.
Shelley, when you say we, is it a political show? Because you've courted controversy or those naysayers because you are so staunchly conservative, which is a little rare in Atlanta. But you've made a mark for yourself, a name for yourself. Is your show staunchly political as well?
No, not at all. Our show, you know, it's interesting. Our show is a radio show. Listening to, it's four of us. First of all, let me introduce them. My co-host is Milani, who's been a radio personality here in Atlanta for many years. Our producer is Scotty B. And our DJ, we call her our DJ is Crystal Wheeler. And so it's four of us. We all don't have politics, not conservative. We're all not liberal. But it's not a political show. We liken our show to you being out in a bar and four friends are sitting around a table talking about the issues of the day, laughing, joking, playing, getting serious, being informative. And you're joining that conversation. You're pulling up a chair at the table, or you're listening in from the bar, or you're just there, involved in four people's conversation. That sometimes might be a political story. Sometimes it might be an obscure story. Sometimes it might be information. Sometimes some expert might gravitate over to our table, and we might talk to them about whatever the news of the day and their expertise. So it's where I think talk radio should have been always, and is probably going towards.
Is it a black show? Are the topics, the conversation, mostly geared toward black folks?
It's a show. It really is a show. Last night we talked to Governor Kemp right after Donald Trump spoke about the three phases to reopen the economy. We came right off the bat with an exclusive interview with Governor Kemp, responding to the comments of Donald Trump. Right after that, we went to a conversation about the deaths of African American deaths being higher. That took us into TI's hashtag hip hop stay home. But then that took us to a conversation about Dubai, Emirates Airlines doing blood tests of people getting on their planes. So it's just a conversation. Whatever's in the news, whatever moves you. It's not a black show. It's not a white show. It's a talk radio show.
But Shelley, you've made a name for yourself in Atlanta and throughout the Southeast, really, as a staunch black conservative politico, a Donald Trump supporter. You, along with fellow Republicans like Dr. Deborah Honeycutt, who you once worked for, Leon Smith, Bruce Lavelle, Jalen Furby, Corey Ruth, Michael Murphy, kind of the core of the black Republicans that I know of. Is there a larger group, or is it a small group contained within you all? Are there more of you than we may know?
The answer to that question is very complicated. There are not a large number of out, proud, vocal black Republicans. I wouldn't say there's a large number. There are a large number of African Americans who happen to be conservative, socially especially. Then you look at another number. There are a large number of black men who are gravitating towards Trump. They may not be out proud about it. They may not be on Facebook or social media like myself, screaming and yelling, support Trump.
Yeah, you do scream and yell.
Huh?
You do scream and yell about it. You do.
Right. But there's a large number and a growing number of African Americans, particularly black males, who are seeing over the last 4 years that, hey, you know what? This is not the demon I thought they built him up to be. This is not the devil that I should be afraid of. I think this virus shutdown is showing a lot of people what it truly means to be free, because I'm seeing a large group of people, again, particularly men, who are saying, yo, I don't want to stay in my house. Why am I being forced to stay in my house? I want to work. I want to put food on the table for my family. So there's two different answers to that question. There's not a large number of registered black Republicans in the state of Georgia. There's a large number of African Americans who will vote based on a candidate for a Republican, as we saw with the Brian Kemp race.
What's going on now? Where will you go at the end of this?
What do you mean?
What's going on now? Where would you want this to be?
The coronavirus? What do you mean?
Yes.
I'm not sure. I want it to end immediately. I mean, I want to be able to make the decision on where I go and what I do based on my own risk factor. Dr. Fauci recently did an interview with Vanity Fair, Talk to America, Vanity Fair's podcast, and they asked him about should people still go on Tinder or Grindr or Bumblebee. These are dating apps, really hookup apps. They're not dating apps. Match.com is a dating app. These are hookup apps. And he answered that by saying, well, if you're willing to take the relative risk of meeting a stranger and whatever goes from there, then go ahead and do it. Well, why can't I take that relative risk and say I want to go to BQE on a Friday after work and it might be 5 people in there? Why can't I go in there, social distance, and have a drink and have some dinner? I think that people are starting to feel that way. They're starting to get, the people I'm talking to are starting to feel like I can manage my own protection and I can take a relative risk on how I go about my life. So I think that this thing ends before May 1st. People are getting even more ready to do the things that they want to do, and they will relish to protect them and others.
Now, you're saying before May 1st, you think this standoffish, this lockdown will end before then? Is that what you're saying?
I think in some areas, yeah. I think in some areas, yes. I think in Georgia, before May 1st, we'll be able to do a lot more than what we are able to do now. Remember something very important. A lot of people don't realize this. The government did not force us to stay in our homes. We consented to that. There was no law. The government didn't say, governors made an executive order or mayors made an executive order that said, stay in your home. There was no law. There was no crackdown. If you left your home, law enforcement wasn't there to gun you down or arrest you. You got to understand, we consented to this shutdown. Now we're not consenting anymore. More and more people are not consenting anymore. And so that's what you see happening.
What are you hearing on your radio show? What are you hearing from your guests across the country? What are you hearing from your coworkers, your team? What's the conversation like on your show will be tomorrow?
Pretty much, two of us, Milani Kai and I, feel that this is an overreaction to a pandemic. Crystal, who is more of the liberal on our show, she has been telling me every day that I come into work how many people died. And her basic thing is people are dying. We need to chill. Scotty B is kind of taking a position that his position is kind of like, I'd like to be able to go out, but I'm willing to wait for the government to say it's okay. So our listeners, primarily because it's WSB, our listeners feel I'm ready to go back to work. I'm tired of this.
Are you winning that argument, you think, amongst your team? Are you getting more, hey, I favor Shelley?
I don't know. I don't know if it's that. I think the people that are calling in, they are already believing. They already agree. It's not that I'm winning them over or not winning them over, or Milani Kai's winning them over or not winning them over. I think people already have that. People have had, the first time they came out with a model, it was 1 to 2 million people would die. It was very easy for people to say, oh, snap, let me change my behavior. Then you drop it to 100 to 200,000. Then you drop it to 40 to 60,000. So when people dropped it to 40 to 60,000 from 1 to 2 million, it's very easy for people to start to say, you know what, I'll take my chances with this.
How do you deem this having impacted Republican Party and particularly your president? As if we judge president today, what would his marks be?
I think normal, regular people, not partisan. I'm not talking about people that hated him yesterday and are going to hate him tomorrow. I'm talking about just average people 4 hours, 7 days a week. Normal people are looking at this saying, okay, I mean, what can he have done? You can't stop a virus no matter who the president is. So I think normal people are looking at it like, okay, he's handled it as best he could. I'm ready to get back to work.
And your fellow Republicans think much the same? Your co-hosts on the show think much the same? Do they agree with you? Or is that part of your conversation during the week? Tomorrow, for example, on Sunday, will that be part of your show conversation?
I think, like I said, Milani Kai, she's not a Trump supporter. Nobody's a Trump supporter on the show but me. So when you ask a question about what his grade would be, I don't know what it would be. I know what it would be from, say, Crystal, who's liberal and hates him. She's going to give him an F. Scotty B is probably around a C. Milani Kai is probably going to judge it as equally as she possibly can. So I don't know, but I'm the only staunch conservative on the show.
And your grade for President Trump? And your grade for President Trump here at court?
A plus. A plus.
Really?
Yeah. What? Give me a reason. Give me a reason why you would say differently.
I don't think he's done anything at all. But I'll tell you, I'm not going to debate you on this show. I want to hear about you.
No. Let me answer that. Let me say why. Leadership during a emergency that's what you're grading. You can't grade what he's done for states because governors are in charge of states. You can't grade based on what he has done or not done because he's the president. He can't do anything, as everyone reminded us 3 days ago. So you have to grade him on the leadership. How's he taken us, steered us through this pandemic? Well, you have to look at the results. The results are we started at 1.1 million, people were down to 60,000. And the death rate, the total number of deaths is still 33,000. So if you look at it from the leadership position, I'm in charge, how many people died, it's still less than the 60,000 projected. That's all you can grade him on. You can't grade him on medicine. You can't grade him on messaging. You can't grade him on anything else. You can only grade him on how he led us through this. That's it.
How he led us, or he didn't want to lead us initially, remember? He didn't get involved in this until after he got involved. He got involved in it on January 24th when he shut down travel from China. That's when he first got involved in it, January 24th. And he shut down off. In his own record, he took a month off. That's ridiculous comment. January 27th, he started a task force for coronavirus. How can that possibly be saying he took a month off? 3 days after he shut down China, he set up the task force headed by Vice President Pence with Fauci, with Birx,
with the Surgeon General, he set up a task force to do what's going on right now. So the idea that he took a month off is completely a media narrative that doesn't belie the facts. He set up a task force to address an issue. I mean, how could you say he took a month off?
I'm not going to get in a political conversation with you because you are that guy. You really are, and you're welcome.
No, I'm telling you the facts. I'm telling you the facts.
I tend to disagree with you, but again, this is your.
How can you say? Look, all honesty, Maynard. How can you say the man took a month off when he set up the actual task force that we see every day in a daily briefing 3 days or 4 days after he shut down travel to China? How could you possibly say that he took a month off?
2 weeks later. He didn't join that task force early on. He set it up. He didn't join it.
He shouldn't have to join it. That's why, Maynard, if you're the leader of a country or a company or a radio station and you're the leader and you say, hey, John, Jane, and Joe, I need you to do a task force on advertising. That's why I don't join it. It's your task force. You bring the recommendations to me.
Then why is he doing it every day now? Why is he doing it every day now? Doesn't he find it political advantageous for him to do it every day now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Doesn't the media find it politically advantageous to attack him on everything since day one? Absolutely. So, yeah, I'm going to go on TV. I'm going to go on TV and defend myself with these free hour briefings I have since I can't campaign because we shut down the government. I mean, yeah, he's playing the same political game his opponents are playing. You can't get mad at one side without getting mad at the other side. Now, if you want to say the political game is being played by him, then you must be mad that the media is sitting in a briefing where they're purporting to be concerned about deaths, saying, trying to ask God, I got your question. So, yeah, absolutely, he's playing a political game. Now, I'm going to be in on every political briefing so the American people can see me leading them through this deadly pandemic. Absolutely.
Shelley, as we head toward this presidential campaign between the president and the Democratic nominee, do you think president will get more black support now? Is this winning him black supporters? Will he see more? You think his vote count among the black community will increase?
Absolutely. Polls are already showing he's in the 14-15 range of black support. And that's primarily driven by black men. So that's a poll, and that's across several polls. It's in 14-15%. We all know polls undercount not only African Americans, but they undercount people in general. So if I'm seeing a 14-15% support for Trump from African Americans, primarily a large number driven by black men, then I gotta believe it's higher than 14 or 15%. So yes, absolutely. He's going to get close to 20-25% of black voters in November, particularly if it's Biden. And it'll go higher. I mean, it was going to be Biden. I mean, particularly if Biden doesn't pick an African-American female. If Biden goes out there and picks a white female or a white guy, he's going to get 30% of the black vote.
And why? Why? What's the underlying? Why would he be endearing to more black people?
Because black people know that they gave Biden a nomination. For the first time in our history, we have been told. It's always been purported. It's always been suspected. The numbers were already there for several years now, several election cycles. The fact of the matter is, we know for a fact that Joe Biden was handed the nomination on the strength of the black vote throughout the South and the North and the Midwest. So that being said, if he doesn't select a black woman as his running mate, African Americans would feel totally taken advantage of. It would be more obvious than ever before, and they would totally either stay home or vote for Trump.
That's true. You excited about this election year?
Absolutely.
You're a political guy. Does this excite you?
Absolutely. The best time to be on radio. That's why I'm so blessed. I'm on radio during a pandemic and during a presidential election that is going to be the funniest thing to cover in the entire history of presidential election. If you thought Hillary versus Trump, absolutely funny. Yeah, funny. Why don't you think it's going to be funny? You got one guy, huh? Because you got one guy. The joke is you got one guy who people say is crazy, a narcissist, mentally ill, and you've got another guy who actually is mentally ill. And so the debates are going to be hilarious. The campaigning, the political advertising, everything that we follow as political commentators, it's going to be hilarious. You've got the Durham report getting ready to come on down the pike. That's going to be hilarious. You got a bunch of things. Coronavirus right now is taking up all of our attention. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that are still yet to come out. And so, Barr recently did an interview where he said what they're finding with the Pfizer abuse is that it wasn't about several mistakes or, I crossed a T, I didn't dot an I. It wasn't like that. It was criminal. And so those are still yet to come out, that Durham investigation. So there's a lot going on between now and November. Who Biden's going to pick is going to be a parlor game through the convention in August. And he's got a lot of pressure on it because on the one hand, you pick an African-American woman, you might turn off those moderate whites in Midwest. Not because of race or anything, but
depends on who the woman is. It depends on who that woman is,
Like I said, run down the list. Stacey Abrams, she, let's call it for what it is. I love Stacey Abrams. I think she's a brilliant woman. But a single African-American overweight woman going on a stage in front of America is not the most captivating thing for people to see. And that's just human nature. That's not racism. That's not fat shaming. That's nothing. That's just what people want to see. You put Kamala Harris up there,
that's your opinion.
Okay.
Listen, let's get on. We'll revisit this again, but I just want to say hello to you and welcome to you.
Hold on. Why do you think Chris Christie was rejected? Why do you think Chris Christie was rejected by the country when he ran for president in the primary?
Why do you think?
Because universally, polls and studies have shown that people see overweight people as inherently lazy. That is something that humans think. That's not something Shelley made up. If you look at it, people think that. That's why overweight people tend to get hired less. It's a whole bunch of reasons psychologically. Politics is not about policy. That's only for us. Most people look at somebody and say, "Oh, I like them. I don't like them." Off the rip. That's it. That's it. That's all it is to it.
Really does weight
and I love
to do it.
And I love Stacey. Don't get me wrong. I don't want anybody to say I'm hating. I love Stacey Abrams. I think she's a brilliant, brilliant woman. I've said this on my show. I've said it on other shows I've hosted. She's a brilliant woman, and you should be terribly, terribly afraid of her when she runs again for governor, right? But that being said, when you roll out on a national stage and you see what you see, and to the South Georgia black grandma that goes to church every Sunday, her first question, and it's going to be replicated all across the country in Mississippi, in Detroit, in other areas in Chicago, that old black a church-going woman is going to ask, "Hey, baby, I love you. I think you're smart. Where's your husband?" That's a real conversation that people have.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Shelley Wynter, probably the most prolific talk show host in Atlanta, one of the most popular ones, and he has a new show. He has a new voice. He's been kind of silenced for a while, but he's back, and that's why I wanted you here. I'm proud of you. Don't always agree with you, my friend, but I'm sure proud of what you're doing. And tell us again when you're on, what to expect.
We're on myself, my co-host Milani Kai, Scotty Baker, our producer, DJ Crystal plays our bumper music and all our music, which is very soulful, very everything. We're on Saturday nights at 9 p.m. and Sunday nights at 9 p.m. on 95.5 FM or WSBradio.com. You could do Alexa, listen to WSB. You can do Google, all of that. But we're on Saturday and Sunday nights at 9 p.m. And give us a shot. It's not a political talk show. It's just a fun conversation every weekend.
Thank you very much. Thanks to our producer, Rick Clear. I'm Maynard Eaton. The show has been Talk to Me. See you next time.